The detention cell hummed with the low thrum of alien machinery, a sound that had become as familiar to Saren Vale as her own heartbeat over the past 3 cycles. The walls were smooth, almost organic, pulsing with bioluminescent veins that cast everything in a sickly purple glow. She sat against the far wall, arms wrapped around her knees, watching the door with eyes that had long since lost their fear. When it finally opened, she wasn't surprised to see Elder Corva limp through. The old warrior was a sight that would have terrified her weeks ago. 3 meters of scaled hide, 4 arms that had once wielded weapons with deadly precision, and eyes like molten copper set deep beneath a ridged brow. But now, seeing him drag his left leg, seeing the way his secondary arms hung useless at his sides, Saren saw something else entirely. She saw mortality, human. Corva's voice rumbled through his translator, the device unable to mask the wetness in his breathing. "I have come to speak with you before the end." "Yours or mine?" Saren asked, her voice surprisingly steady. A sound that might have been laughter rattled from the alien's chest. "Both. Perhaps. The med scanners give me 2 of your days. You, the council sentences you to execution at first light tomorrow." He settled against the opposite wall with a grunt, his massive frame somehow looking diminished. "But I did not come to discuss schedules of death." Saren waited. She had learned patience in this cell. "I have fought your kind for 40 cycles, Corva continued, his eyes fixed on something beyond the walls. 40 cycles of war across 17 systems. I have killed 233 humans with these hands." He raised his primary right hand, studying it as if seeing it for the first time. "I have earned every honor my people can bestow. I am legend among the Vortain." And yet, he trailed off, and Saren found herself leaning forward despite herself. "And yet?" she prompted. "And yet, before I die, before you die, I must tell you something. A truth I have denied for decades." His copper eyes finally met hers. "I must tell you who humans truly are." Saren's laugh was bitter. "Let me guess, we're monsters? Savages?" "I've heard it all before, Elder." "No." The word was sharp, final. "You misunderstand. I do not mean what my people say you are. I mean what I have learned you are. What I wish my people could see before it is too late." He shifted, grimacing with pain. And when he spoke again, his voice carried the weight of confession. 30 cycles ago, I led a raid on your colony at Proxima Tertius. We expected resistance. You humans always fight. But we were prepared. We were Vortain. Superior in every way. Stronger, faster, our technology centuries ahead of yours. The battle lasted mere hours. Saren said nothing. She knew of Proxima Tertius. Everyone did. We took prisoners, as was protocol. For interrogation. For leverage. Among them was a human female, a medic. She had stayed behind while others fled. Do you know what she was doing when we found her? No, she was treating our wounded. Corva's voice cracked. 3 of my warriors, bleeding out from your plasma fire. And this human, this enemy, was trying to save them. When I demanded to know why, she looked at me with eyes much like yours and said, "Because they're alive, and I'm a doctor." The old warrior's breathing grew heavier. "I killed her anyway. It was war. It was protocol. It was what we did." Saren felt something cold settle in her chest, but that moment haunted me. And then there were others. The human engineer who sacrificed himself to seal a breach and save both his crew and ours when our ships collided. The human child who shared her rations with a Vortain prisoner, half-starved herself. The human commander who offered surrender terms so generous that my superiors thought it was a trap. It wasn't. Again and again, across 40 cycles of war, I saw it. "Saw what?" Saren whispered. "Your defiance of logic," Corva said. "We Vortain, we fight for resources, for territory, for dominance. This makes sense. This is survival. But you humans? You fight for ideas, for principles, for people you've never met." You will die for concepts that cannot be held or measured. And more than that, more terrifying than that, you extend compassion to those who would destroy you. He leaned forward, his massive frame casting shadows across the cell. Do you understand what you are? Your species is weak by our standards. Your lifespans are brief. Your worlds are few. By all measures of galactic civilization, you should have been eliminated within the first decade of our war. But you persist, not because you are strong, but because you are absolutely, incomprehensibly stubborn in your belief that any life matters. We're still losing, Saren said quietly. Are you? Korva's laugh was genuine this time. 3 days ago, I received word that 17 Vortain colonies have sued for peace independently of the Council. Do you know why? Because your human refugees, the ones we conquered, have been teaching our children. Showing them music, art, philosophy, things we Vortain abandoned millennia ago as inefficient. He reached into his armor with his remaining functional arm and pulled out a small object. A music player. Battered and human-made. My own granddaughter sent me this. Said a human taught her to hear the spaces between the notes. I didn't understand, but then I listened, truly listened, and He stopped, and Saren saw moisture gathering in those copper eyes. I wept. For the first time in 70 cycles, I wept, because I finally understood what we have been trying to destroy. What's that? Saren asked, her own eyes burning. Hope, Korva said simply. Irrational. Impossible. Beautiful hope. The idea that tomorrow can be better than today. Not through conquest, but through connection. You humans carry it like a disease, and it spreads to everyone you touch. The old warrior stood, his movements labored but deliberate. Tomorrow, they will execute you as an enemy of the Vortain Empire. And I will be dead before I can speak against it. But I wanted you to know, before the end, that you have already won. Not this war, perhaps, but something greater. He moved toward the door, then paused. We Vortain will be remembered as conquerors of 1,000 worlds. But humanity? You will be remembered as the species that conquered nothing and changed everything. The door sealed behind him, and Saren Vale sat alone in the purple glow, tears streaming down her face. Not for herself, not for the execution that awaited her, but for the old warrior who had finally understood, too late, what it meant to be human. Outside the cell, in the vast machinery of the Vortain Empire, something was shifting. In classrooms and barracks, in council chambers and family homes, humans living, stubborn, impossibly hopeful humans were teaching aliens to dream. And dreams, as any human could tell you, are the most dangerous weapons of all.